Okay, so you know how you sent us all those sources? Well, we went through all that stuff, and we're ready to dive into this LED stadium lights thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a pretty cool market, actually.
It is.
Um,
I was really impressed with
yeah,
what I saw.
and it's growing like crazy. So,
Yep.
so maybe before we jump into the numbers, maybe just for anyone who's not, totally up to speed, can we just like, what are LED stadium lights? I mean, everyone kind of knows, but
Yeah, LED stadium lights are basically, high-powered lighting systems that use light-emitting diodes, or LEDs,
yeah.
and they're specifically made to light up these huge spaces like, your stadiums and arenas and all those big places
Yeah.
where they have sporting events and concerts and things like
Well,
that.
if you're at a basketball game or
Sure.
concert or something,
fine.
these things are everywhere.
Yeah.
They're really important because they're way more energy efficient than the old types of lights. And like the difference in like how well you can see everything with LED is crazy.
And for TV broadcasts too.
Yeah.
It's crucial.
Huge.
Yeah, and it's really helping make these big events more sustainable, which is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a really interesting market, and like we were saying, it's growing really fast.
It is.
So one of the sources said that like in 2025, the market's going to be worth something like 1,625.6 million USD.
Wow.
But get this, by 2033, it's projected to be like 3,239.1 million.
That's huge.
So that's almost double, right?
Yeah.
And the growth rate is like 9% a year, which is
That's amazing.
like that's a lot.
Yeah, that's really significant, especially for a market this size.
So like what's driving all this growth?
I think a big part of it is the fact that everyone's looking for ways to be more energy efficient these days.
Oh yeah.
And LEDs are like the best way to do that when it comes to lighting, especially for these massive stadiums.
Yeah, it's like they can save a lot of money on their energy bills, which is huge for them.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about saving money, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, the technology is getting better all the time, too.
Yeah.
We're seeing big improvements in what they call luminous efficacy,
Yeah.
which basically means you get more light using less power.
So brighter lights, but cheaper to run.
Exactly. And on top of that, these LEDs are lasting longer.
Really?
And they're giving you way more control over how you use them.
Wow. So that's got to be a big selling point.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, especially for venues that host a lot of different types of events.
Yeah, so you can like change the lighting to fit whatever's going on.
Right.
Makes sense.
It's a game changer.
And it's not just the technology either, right? There's a lot more investment going into building new sports venues and upgrading old ones around the world, which means more and more places need these lights.
Absolutely. That's definitely contributing to the growth.
And I mean, live sports are so popular globally. Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of stadiums needing great lighting. And when you're watching a game at home,
Especially on TV.
you want the picture to look amazing.
Right.
Right.
It's all about the experience.
Totally. So it sounds like governments are also playing a part here
They are.
with, all their focus on being more sustainable and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of governments are encouraging businesses to use more energy-efficient technologies, and that includes LED lighting.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it's a win-win for everyone, really.
So one of the things that jumped out at me from those sources was, North America and Europe, they're obviously the big players in this market right now.
Right.
But then you've got Asia Pacific, especially China and India,
Right.
and they're growing so
It's
fast.
incredible.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's becoming a really competitive market there.
Which makes sense when you think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
they're building so much new stuff, and there's so much interest in sports in those regions.
Absolutely.
So it's a huge opportunity for these lighting companies.
So we've got a sense of like the overall market, but let's dig into who the main players are.
Yeah, let's talk about the companies that are really making things happen.
So first up, who are the big dogs, the companies that are like the leaders in this whole LED stadium lights thing?
All right, so based on what you sent over, the top 5 companies in this market are Signify Holding, which you probably know as Philips.
Oh, yeah.
Then there's Eaton with their Ephesus Lighting brand,
Okay.
Acuity Brands Lighting Inc., Musco Sports Lighting LLC, and Hubble Incorporated.
Got it. So those are like the names behind the lights in most of the big stadiums around the world.
Exactly. You've probably seen their work even if you don't recognize the names.
Cool. So let's start with Signify, the Philips people.
Yeah.
They're based in the Netherlands, right?
That's right. Eindhoven, to be exact.
Okay, so why are they so big in this market? What's their deal?
Well, for starters, their total sales in 2023 were something like 8.1 billion USD.
Wow.
That's a lot of lights.
That's a lot of anything.
It is. And out of that, 1.3 billion came specifically from their stadium lighting solutions.
So a good chunk.
Yeah, a significant portion.
Okay.
And that translates to about 15% of the entire LED stadium lights market.
Wow. 15%.
That's a pretty dominant position.
That's huge.
Yeah, they're definitely a leader in the industry.
So how do they do it? What's their secret sauce?
Well, I think a few things contribute to their success. Their Philips ArenaVision LED lighting systems are known for being top of the line,
Okay.
and they really push energy efficiency.
Yeah.
They claim their systems can reduce energy use by up to 40% compared to traditional lighting, which is a big deal for stadium operators.
That's huge.
It is. And it's not just about the technology either. They've also got some impressive partnerships.
Like what?
Well, for example, they partnered with FIFA for the 2023 Women's World Cup.
Wow.
That's huge for their credibility in the international sports world.
Oh.
And they're really investing in connected lighting systems,
Right.
using that whole Internet of Things, IoT technology,
Right.
so they can offer advanced control and monitoring.
So it's not just turning the lights on and off anymore?
No, not at all.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sophisticated stuff.
So like what can you actually do with connected lighting?
Well, you can adjust the lights remotely, monitor their performance in real time,
Okay.
and even create like dynamic lighting effects.
Like for different parts of the game?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Okay, so Signify, they're clearly doing a lot of things right.
Definitely.
So who's next on our list of giants?
All right, so next up we've got Eaton, specifically their Ephesus Lighting division.
Got it.
They're headquartered in Dublin, Ireland,
Ireland.
and they're a big player too.
And they're all about energy efficiency too, right?
Oh yeah, that's a big focus for them.
Mm.
But they're also really known for minimizing glare.
Oh, that's important.
It is, especially for the players.
Yeah.
You don't want them being blinded by the lights.
Right.
And they do a great job with color rendering.
Okay, so what's color rendering?
Basically, it's making sure the colors you see under the lights are accurate.
So like the grass actually looks green.
Exactly.
That's got to be important for TV too.
It is.
You want the viewers at home to see the game the way it really looks.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
So Eaton's really strong on all those fronts.
Okay, cool.
They also have this Ephesus All-Field series,
Okay.
which is pretty cool because it lets you customize the lighting levels.
So that's handy.
It is, especially for venues that host different kinds of events.
Right, so you can adjust the lights for a football game versus a concert or whatever.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And they're really big on partnering with stadiums to help them retrofit their old lighting systems with LEDs.
So they're not just focusing on new stadiums.
Nope, they're helping older venues upgrade too.
That's pretty smart, actually.
Yeah, it's a big part of the market,
I bet.
and it's good for everyone.
Yeah, it's more sustainable.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about Acuity Brands? They're up next, right?
That's right. Acuity Brands is based in Atlanta in the U.S.,
Okay.
and they're another big name in the game.
What sets them apart?
Well, they have this brand called Holophane, which is known for being super reliable and high-performing.
Oh, yeah, Holophane. I've heard of that.
Yeah, they make really durable LED systems.
Which has got to be important when you're talking about these massive outdoor installations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. These things have to withstand all kinds of weather.
Rain, snow, wind,
Exactly.
the whole shebang.
So durability is key.
Got it.
And of course, like the other companies, they're big on energy efficiency and long lifespans.
Makes sense.
But what's really cool is their N-Light control system.
Oh, yeah. What's that all about?
It gives you really precise control over the lighting.
So you can fine-tune everything.
Yeah, it's very advanced.
Wow.
And they've got this new Holophane Endura series,
Okay.
which uses a modular design.
Modular, so like Legos.
Kind of. It makes it easier to install and maintain the lights.
Oh, that's smart.
It is.
So less downtime.
Exactly.
And probably easier to upgrade too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good selling point.
And they've also improved the thermal management.
Thermal management, so like keeping the lights from overheating.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which helps them perform better and last longer.
So they've thought of everything.
Pretty much.
Okay, so next up is Musco Sports Lighting, and I think they're a little different from the others, right?
Yeah, Musco's interesting because they're a privately held company.
Okay.
They're based in Iowa in the U.S.
Okay, so what's their claim to fame? What do they do that's special?
They're really known for their total light control system.
Total light control?
Yeah, or TLC for LED.
TLC for LED.
It's a mouthful.
It is.
But basically what it does is it minimizes glare and spill light.
Okay, so the light goes where it's supposed to go and not everywhere else?
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes the lighting more efficient,
Okay.
and it also reduces light pollution.
Oh, so like it's not shining into people's houses and stuff?
Right.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a more responsible approach.
I like it.
And Musco's got a great track record, too.
Like what?
They've done the lighting for a bunch of Super Bowls
Wow.
and the U.S. Open.
Really?
So they're definitely the go-to choice for big events.
Yeah, that's a pretty impressive resume.
It is.
So they're the big event specialists.
You could say that.
Cool. And last but not least, we've got Hubble Incorporated,
Right.
another American company.
Yep, they're based in Sheldon, Connecticut.
Okay, so what's their specialty?
Well, their Hubble lighting brand is all about making sophisticated LED systems for sports venues.
Okay.
They focus on making sure the light is really evenly distributed across the field.
So no dark spots.
Exactly.
That's got to be important.
It is. And they're really good at reducing glare, too.
So both the players and the fans can see properly.
Right.
Good thinking.
And they offer a lot of options for controlling the lights, so you can create different effects for different events.
Oh, so like dimming the lights for a dramatic moment or
Yeah,
something?
exactly.
That's cool.
It's all about creating the right atmosphere.
Makes sense.
And like Eaton, they're also big on collaborating with stadiums to help them upgrade to LEDs.
So that seems to be a trend.
Yeah, a lot of these companies are realizing that there's a big market for retrofitting existing stadiums.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it's good for the environment and it's good for business.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly.
Cool. So those are the big five.
Yep, those are the major players in the LED stadium lights market.
So it seems like they're all focusing on those same things.
Yeah.
Energy efficiency, being able to control the lights in all sorts of fancy ways.
Right.
And making sure these systems are sustainable.
Absolutely.
Okay, but the market's not just these big companies, is it? We were talking about some up-and-comers earlier.
Oh, yeah, there's some really interesting companies that are starting to make waves.
So who are these new kids on the block? Who should we be watching?
Okay, well, there's Zumtobel Group AG,
Zumtobel. Okay.
Aeon LED,
Got it.
Netgear Inc.
Wait, Netgear? Like the
Yep.
Wi-Fi people?
Yeah, that's them.
Wow, that's interesting.
It is.
Okay.
Then there's Shenzhen Mercury Photoelectric Technology Co., Ltd.,
Okay.
and AAA LUX BV.
All right, so 5 companies to watch. So what's Zumtobel all about?
They're based in Austria,
Okay.
and they're known for making high-performance LED lighting solutions.
Okay.
But what makes them really interesting for stadiums is their focus on smart technology.
Okay, so they're bringing that smart home stuff to the stadium.
Kind of.
Okay.
They're integrating advanced control systems,
Okay.
which lets them manage the lighting in a more sophisticated way.
Got it.
So they can optimize energy usage and create different lighting scenes for different types of events.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
And they're already big in Europe and North America, right?
That's right. They've got a strong foundation in those markets.
So they're well positioned to make a move in the stadium world.
Definitely.
Okay, so what about Aeon LED? What's their story?
They're a U.S.-based company,
Okay.
and they're all about quality and efficiency.
In what way?
Well, they focus on making stadium lights with superior luminous efficacy.
That's the more light for less power thing, right?
Exactly.
Got it.
And their lights are known for being really durable.
Makes sense.
They also offer a lot of customization options.
Oh, so you can like tailor the lights to your specific needs.
Yeah, which is really appealing to some customers.
Especially if you have a unique stadium or something.
Right. And they're investing heavily in research and development.
Always a good sign.
Yeah, they're constantly working to improve their products.
So they're not just resting on their laurels.
Nope, they're always pushing the boundaries.
Good for them.
Yeah, they're definitely a company to watch.
Okay, now this Netgear thing. This is really intriguing.
Yeah, it's a bit unexpected.
I mean, I know Netgear from their routers and stuff,
Right.
but stadium lights.
Well, they're basically using their expertise in networking to offer smart LED lighting solutions.
So they're coming at it from a different angle.
Exactly.
Okay, so how does that work?
They're really focused on integrating their lighting systems with IoT.
The Internet of Things.
Right.
Got it.
And they're developing these innovative lighting controls specifically for large venues.
So they're like the smart stadium people.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, so it's not just about the lights themselves.
Right.
It's about how they fit into this whole connected ecosystem.
Exactly.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a different approach, but it could be really successful.
Yeah, if they can pull it off, it could be huge.
Definitely.
Okay, so what about Shenzhen Mercury? What are they bringing to the table?
They're a Chinese company,
Okay.
and they're really good at making high-power LED floodlights.
Okay.
Their main focus is on energy efficiency and affordability.
So they're going for the value market.
Yeah, which is smart because there's a huge demand for affordable lighting solutions,
Yeah.
especially in emerging markets.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they're really well positioned to capitalize on that growth.
Right. Okay, cool. And what about AAA LUX?
They're from the Netherlands,
Okay.
and they specialize in high-mast lighting.
High mass, so like really tall
Yeah,
lights.
exactly. The kind you need for really big areas like stadiums and ports.
Got it.
They're really big on energy saving and flexibility.
Okay, so what do they do that's different?
Well, they offer these advanced dimming and control technologies,
Okay.
which gives venue operators a lot more control over the lighting.
And that saves energy.
Exactly.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, they're really innovative.
And where are they operating?
They're mostly focused on Europe and the Middle East.
Okay, so they're expanding their reach.
Yeah, they're building partnerships and working on new projects all the time.
Cool. So it seems like these emerging companies are all doing something interesting.
Yeah, they're each bringing something different to the market.
And that's got to be keeping those big five on their toes.
Absolutely.
They can't just sit back and relax.
Nope, the competition is heating up.
So let's say I'm a new company and I want to get into this LED stadium lights game. Okay.
What do I need to do to succeed?
Well, first thing is you got to make sure your lights are top notch.
Like they had to be bright enough.
Yeah, high lumen output is essential.
Okay,
But they also got to be energy efficient.
of course.
And they need to last a long time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You don't want stadiums having to replace their lights every other year.
No way.
So durability is key.
Got it.
And you got to be able to offer those advanced features we talked about.
Like the smart controls and stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
Dynamic lighting, IoT integration, customization options, all that good stuff.
So you got to be able to tailor the lighting to different events.
Right.
Makes sense.
And you can't forget about cost.
Right, you got to be competitive.
Exactly. How do you do that?
Well, you got to be smart about your sourcing and manufacturing.
So find good suppliers and make the lights efficiently.
Exactly.
Oh,
And geographically, you got to target the right markets.
so like those high growth regions we were talking about.
Yeah, Asia Pacific and Latin America are good places to start.
Okay.
There's a lot of potential there.
Makes sense.
And it's important to either have a local presence
Okay.
or partner with local distributors and contractors.
So you need people on the ground who understand the market.
Absolutely.
Got it.
And don't forget about sustainability.
Oh, yeah. That's huge these days.
It is.
So what does that mean for lighting companies?
Well, they need to make their lights as eco-friendly as possible.
Okay.
Minimize energy consumption, reduce light pollution, all that.
Makes sense.
And they should also offer retrofitting services.
So they can help stadiums replace their old lights with new LED ones.
Exactly.
Cool.
And finally, partnerships are crucial.
Oh, yeah. Partnerships are everything these days.
They are.
So who should these lighting companies be partnering with?
Well, sports organizations, event management companies, stadium operators, anyone who's involved in putting on these big events.
So it's all about networking and building relationships.
Exactly. And if you could do all that, you've got a good shot at making it in this market.
Wow. It sounds like there's a lot to think about.
There is.
But it's also a really exciting market to be in.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, okay, big picture time. Where do you see this whole LED stadium lights market going in the future?
Well, I think it's safe to say this market is at a really interesting point right now. There's a lot of potential for growth.
Yeah, and the technology is just going to keep getting better, right?
Absolutely.
And more countries are investing in the sports infrastructure.
Right.
So the demand for these lights is only going to go up.
Exactly.
Plus, everyone's talking about sustainability these days.
That's a global trend.
So that's got to be good news for LED lighting companies.
Definitely.
I mean, we're talking about a market that could be worth over $3 billion in a few years.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty impressive.
So it's a good time to be in this business.
It is.
But what about the competition?
It's definitely getting more intense.
Yeah, we've got these big established companies, but then all these new players are coming in.
Right.
So how's that all going to shake out?
Well, I think the companies that are going to succeed are the ones that can innovate.
Yeah.
They got to be able to adapt to the changing market.
And come up with new ideas.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they got to be committed to sustainability.
Yeah, that's not going away.
Nope. It's only going to become more important.
So it's not enough to just make good lights anymore.
Right.
You got to make good lights that are also good for the planet.
Exactly.
And you got to be smart about how you grow your business.
Absolutely.
So it's a challenging market, but also a really rewarding one.
It is.
Cool. Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I've learned a lot.
Me too.
Thanks so much for sharing your expertise.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
And to you, our listener, thanks for sending us all those sources.
Yeah, we couldn't have done it without you.
You really got us thinking about this whole LED stadium lights thing, and it's amazing how much this technology is changing the game.
It really is.
So it makes you wonder, what other industries are going to be transformed by LEDs in the future?
That's a good question.
What other areas are ripe for disruption? It's definitely something to think about.
Definitely.
So until next time, keep those sources coming, and we'll keep diving deep into the topics that matter to you.
Sounds good.